When you look at KSI, the first thing people notice is energy, an explosive presence that seems to fill every room, every camera frame, every social interaction. But beneath the high-volume persona, beneath the memes, the boxing hype, the rap battles, and the YouTube uploads lies a complex psychological framework. To understand KSI is to look beyond the spectacle and see the architecture of resilience, ambition, and identity construction. He is a man who has spent most of his life under constant observation. From his early YouTube days as a teenage gamer to international boxing rings and music charts, KSI's mind has been shaped by attention. Psychologists describe prolonged exposure to public scrutiny as a pressure cooker for identity. Some crack under it, while others, like KSI, develop adaptive cognitive strategies. He learned early to manage perception, to read audiences, to adjust self-presentation. This requires a blend of social intelligence, emotional regulation, and self-monitoring that few adolescents develop outside controlled environments. KSI's psychology is also defined by goal-driven intensity. He does not simply play, he competes. He does not merely produce content, he cultivates an empire. This requires executive functioning at the highest level. Long-term planning, prioritization, self-discipline, and an almost obsessive drive toward achievement. Psychologists might describe this as hyper-conscientiousness combined with fluid intelligence. The ability to analyze situations rapidly, anticipate outcomes, and make adaptive choices in real time. It's why he can pivot from gaming to music to boxing and succeed across all domains. Underneath the bravado and high-energy antics is a mind finely tuned to motivation and reinforcement. KSI has internalized principles of feedback loops. Every view, like, comment, and reaction is data. Every success, every failure, every viral moment contributes to a model of self and strategy. Psychologically, he operates almost like a cognitive scientist running continuous experiments on his own behavior. He observes, adjusts, and refines, learning not just how to entertain, but how to influence, persuade, and connect. But KSI's psychology is not just analytical, it is deeply emotional and relational. His connections with fans, collaborators, and rivals reveal sophisticated social cognition. He reads intentions, adapts strategies, and maintains rapport, all while navigating the complexities of fame. This requires empathy balanced with self-interest, knowing when to respond, when to provoke, and when to withdraw. His psychological framework integrates competitive instincts with relational intelligence, creating a persona that is both dominant and socially attuned. A central aspect of KSI's psychology is risk tolerance and fear management. He has repeatedly placed himself in high-stakes situations, boxing matches, public challenges, and entrepreneurial ventures that could result in humiliation, failure, or injury. But he approaches these risks with calculated audacity. He experiences fear, anxiety, and uncertainty, yet does not allow them to paralyze him. This demonstrates advanced emotional regulation, the ability to experience high-intensity emotions without letting them dictate behavior. He channels adrenaline and tension into focus, preparation, and performance. KSI's resilience is remarkable. Growing up as JJ Olatunji, he faced cultural expectations, familial dynamics, and the challenges of carving identity in a digital age. Rejection, criticism, and setbacks were inevitable, but he developed a psychological armor, a combination of cognitive reframing, humor, and perseverance. He reframes failure not as defeat, but as feedback. Every viral misstep becomes an opportunity to refine strategy. Every critique becomes a lesson in public perception management. Psychologists would describe this as growth mindset resilience, the ability to learn from adversity without internalizing shame or defeat. Another layer of his psychological profile is identity construction. KSI is not a single persona. He is a constellation of roles: gamer, entertainer, rapper, boxer, businessman, friend, brother, and public figure. Managing these identities requires metacognition, awareness of how one is perceived, how one perceives oneself, and how these perceptions interact. He navigates tension between authenticity and strategic persona, creating a fluid identity that can adapt without losing coherence. This cognitive flexibility is rare, particularly in individuals with prolonged public exposure. His psychology is also informed by competitive cognition. Boxing, both amateur and professional, demands precision under pressure. He has learned to integrate visual spatial intelligence, emotional control, and rapid decision-making into high-stakes performance. Every punch, feint, and defensive move reflects not just physical training, but a cognitive model of opponent behavior, anticipation, and probability. Boxing is a domain where ego, focus, and discipline intersect, and KSI's psychological ability to maintain composure while under extreme stress is key to his success. Underlying all of this is his relationship with motivation and reward. KSI thrives on both intrinsic and extrinsic reinforcement. Personal achievement, skill mastery, and self-expression drive him internally. Public acclaim, financial success, and peer recognition provide external feedback that further shapes behavior. He demonstrates a sophisticated ability to align personal satisfaction with social impact, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of motivation and performance. KSI's humor and social presentation are also central to his psychological makeup. Humor is more than entertainment. It is a cognitive and emotional tool. Through comedy, he establishes social bonds, diffuses tension, and exerts subtle influence over audience perception. Humor requires insight into timing, cultural context, and emotional resonance, skills KSI exhibits consistently. Psychologically, this reflects advanced social intelligence. Understanding what people feel, how they react, and how to craft responses that maximize connection and impact. Part of his psychology is the way he manages personal narrative and legacy. He understands the impermanence of viral fame and the long-term impact of brand building. Every project, collaboration, and content decision is filtered through lenses of cultural relevance, personal significance, and legacy. He integrates foresight, strategic thinking, and identity coherence to construct a persona that is not ephemeral but enduring. KSI also exemplifies adaptive stress management. High-pressure environments, public scrutiny, and professional commitments generate chronic stress. He mitigates this through structured routines, physical training, humor, social support, and strategic pauses. Psychologically, this demonstrates proactive coping, anticipating stressors, preparing responses, and maintaining equilibrium rather than reacting impulsively. In addition, his relationship with risk and public perception reveals an understanding of social psychology. KSI is aware of audience biases, media framing, and cultural narratives. He strategically manipulates attention while preserving credibility and engagement. This requires a nuanced understanding of persuasion, impression management, and social influence, blending instinct with deliberate cognitive strategy. KSI's psychology also reflects emotional fluency. Despite his public bravado, he navigates fear, anger, frustration, and doubt with skill. He experiences emotions fully, yet channels them productively rather than being controlled by them. Emotional fluency allows him to operate in high-stakes domains, boxing, music, and content creation, without letting stress or ego undermine performance. Finally, Part 1 must highlight his relationship with self-concept and cultural identity. Growing up in London as a British Nigerian, KSI negotiates multiple cultural narratives. This duality shapes his self-perception, social identity, and cognitive framework. He leverages cultural knowledge, heritage, and social understanding to connect with diverse audiences while maintaining authenticity. This intersection of cultural intelligence, social adaptability, and self-awareness is fundamental to his psychological resilience and success. In sum, KSI's psychology in Part 1 can be seen as a synthesis of resilience, identity management, emotional regulation, cognitive flexibility, strategic risk-taking, social intelligence, humor, motivation alignment, competitive cognition, and cultural awareness. These facets interact dynamically to produce a persona capable of thriving under intense public scrutiny, high-stakes challenges, and multifaceted social roles.